Welcome to the Awaken on Purpose podcast, where each week you'll receive insight, inspiration, and advice for living your purpose and making an impact as a conscious leader. You'll also hear inspirational stories of other conscious leaders who are living and leading from a place of mission, vision, and purpose. Get ready to be enlightened, empowered, and transformed with me, your host, Jennifer Sport. I'm really excited to welcome as a very special guest to the show today, Baljit Rayat. She is an Akashic Records consultant and teacher, an intuitive soul purpose mentor, sacred geometry soul artist, and conscious DJ. Committed to raising the vibration of humanity, Baljit has worked with thousands of women and men worldwide to uplevel their lives by uncovering the truths of who they are to the core, creating profound results in their businesses and relationships. She believes everything in this world is energy, and getting to the root of desire causes a powerful ripple that spans all areas of life. Welcome, Baljit. I'm really excited.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I can't wait to have this conversation. Of course, I just always lose track of time when I speak with you.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
It is. It's almost like we're in this container, like time stands still or something. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So, Baljit, I can't wait to share more about you with our listeners. Tell us what inspired you actually to do the work that you're doing today.
Yeah, I come from a background of being in the corporate world. I was in architecture for 7 years. And during that time in my early 20s, I didn't realize that I was going through deep depression. And it wasn't until I started to experience severe panic attacks. And I was living, the Sex and the City life. I had a really great job, great friends, and I thought I was happy, but deep down inside, I really wasn't happy. And I also come from an East Indian background, so my upbringing was very, very strict, and there was a lot of pressure from my parents at the time, early 20s, to get married. So not only did I have cultural pressure, I felt like I had societal pressure, and I was such a people pleaser, and eventually I just kind of broke down. And then I realized that I had a panic disorder. And long story short, I went the natural path through taking homeopathic remedies and went to a homeopathic doctor as well. I did go on antidepressants for some time, but it wasn't really helping me to connect back to my emotions. And then when I started to take homeopathic remedies, I opened up to finding somehow the Akashic Records, experienced a reading, and I was like, what is this? And it just totally changed my life. It just lit up my world. And I realized that there was so much programming that I had inside of myself where I was pleasing so many systems, my cultural upbringing, religious, societal. And I was like, wow, I really need to come back to my power. And so with a lot of, doing my internal work, I eventually came to a place of okay, it's time for me to learn the Akashic Records and also mentor other people that have been stuck in these places to empower them to really come back home to who they really are and not what society and culture and whatnot tells them that they should be.
That's a really beautiful story, and I really resonate, especially with what you said about the people pleasing. I reached a similar point where I had basically checked all the boxes off the list of what traditional society tells us that we need to do to achieve success. And then even beyond my career, I would spend most of my time doing things that other people wanted to do. And I finally figured out that
Yeah.
I didn't really know who I was, you know, because it's just like, what am I doing to live for myself? So
Exactly.
it's so interesting. Baljit, for those who aren't as familiar, can you tell us a little bit more about the Akashic Records?
Yeah. So, and a little bit of background story is before I discovered the Akashic Records, I used to go to a lot of psychics. Like I wanted psychics to tell me my future. Like, am I going to get married? Am I going to be happy? And one of the things that I didn't realize is that I kept giving my power away to the psychic to tell me my future, but I wasn't doing my inner work to create that reality. So what would happen is that thing that was shared with me didn't come true. And what I didn't realize is when we tap into our psychic abilities, we have many trajectories, and you can choose the least joyous path, the mediocre path, or the most joyous path. So when you work in the Akashic Records is like an etheric library. We each have our own etheric library, and the Akashic Records records every word, thought, action, event. So when we experience a block in our life, or if there's something that we want to manifest, we want to create, by accessing your Akashic Records, it's basically like an intuitive reading. You're able to identify your blocks and heal them and release them and create a new reality so that you are able to manifest whatever it is that you're calling in.
That's amazing. What you said about when you used to get psychic readings, I experienced that as well. And then I've had those conversations with various clients too, to say, you know, this, because I offer soul purpose readings, to say, you know, I'm providing you with this information, right? But you're meant to take action.
Yeah, right?
Because you're actually shaping your path based upon where you're choosing to focus your energy right now. So I can tell you all of this, but if you don't do anything, you know,
right?
With it. Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's so important. Baljit, I believe that, you know, with this shift that we're experiencing, this great awakening that we're experiencing on the planet, that the old paradigm of leadership, you know, that was built based on a more patriarchal system doesn't really work moving forward. I guess I'm putting
funny
it that
you're
way.
bringing that forward. I was literally having this conversation yesterday with someone. Yes.
Yeah. So one of my passions and something I love to speak with people about is conscious leadership, because I just feel it's so important that moving forward that we lead from a place of integrity, from a place of mission, vision, and purpose, and that a leader is so much more than someone who, you know, makes strategic decisions and who is even a visionary. Well, what are your thoughts? Like, what does conscious leadership mean to you?
Yeah, the way that I look at and feel into conscious leadership, and it's interesting that you brought up the dismantling that is naturally happening with the patriarchal system. If we even look at like the old way of coaching programs, is that there's a set template and it follows kind of like a pyramidal system, and it's like a template. And I think I feel in a way it's a very subconscious way of leading, because it doesn't define true leadership. In a way, it's kind of like you're still worshiping something outside of yourself and you're not connecting to your own inner authority. And then when I feel into conscious leadership, it's like you are really connecting to your own inner authority. And it's kind of like this circular way of connecting with other people and sharing, and knowing that there's no competition, that we actually all are prosperous beings if we really were to, you know, recreate that system. And that's where I feel like we're transitioning into. And it's also being aware of your purpose, your own dharma, and expressing that. So not what you think you need to be doing, but what you know deep down inside that you're meant to facilitate with yourself and your humanity.
Yes. And so I'd love to just highlight the distinction that you mentioned between thinking and knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I say this often, but our mind is a faithful servant, right? But it makes assessments for us based upon existing knowledge and past experiences, where our inner knowing, our intuition or our soul's guidance is always concerned with our expansion. And I feel like that's part of what we're here to do is to learn. So yeah, I love that you made that distinction. Baljit, what significance do you feel that one's clarity of purpose has in regard to embodying their highest self as a leader?
Oh yeah. I find like there is a bit of feistiness, some fire in that person, or just like it's like a vibration that you feel like there's this resonance. It's more of an energetic and how they present themselves. Like you can actually sense it online or in person. You can feel the power and you're like, yeah, like there's a resonance, and then you even transform just being in that presence because that person is also in their own truth and presence. So it's more of an energetic that I can feel. And I think for anyone who doesn't even know how to access the Akashic Records, it's like when you look at someone online, it's like online dating, who just energetically feels kind of off, no matter what the bio says. It's the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's the same thing with finding a mentor. It's like you can read their bio and they sound amazing, but then when you look at their energy, you're like, something doesn't feel right. I can't pinpoint what it is. And then when I see someone who's embodied, I'm like, sometimes they don't even have like a bio or anything, but I know that there's such a resonance, and most of the times there usually are. So it's a presence, an energetic presence.
You describe it so well. I really feel that in your content.
Oh, thank you.
In your content, in your soul blueprints that you share, in your music. I just love all of it.
Thank you.
And I know we're going to be including all your information in our show notes. So I definitely encourage anyone listening to reach out and learn more about you.
Thank you.
Baljit, I think there are always people waking up, but more than ever right now, because of this shift in consciousness we're experiencing, it's actually a perfect time for someone to take action to forge a new path. What advice do you have for other leaders who are feeling called to make a bigger impact with their mission and message?
Yeah, that's such a great question, because I also find that with existing leaders and those that are stepping into their leadership, especially existing, is that there is a shifting in business right now. It's like I'm seeing even in my own personal business, I'm just letting go of certain things. And in order to allow this next thing to come through, I feel it's really important to tap into our creation energy. And this ties into the dismantling of the patriarchal system, because the patriarchal system actually denies access to our own sacral chakra, our sexual energy, our creative energy. And there's so much that is there in our creative life force that is directly related to our gifts and how we really need to be expressing our purpose and our gifts. And how to do that in a tangible way is that you can actually just go work out, go into nature, like do things physically for your body to really root in and feel like actually your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and also doing your own shadow work, we kind of do reach a certain place in leadership that you will find yourself being like, oh, I'm ready to hit the next level, but there's something that I can't really access. And what is that? So maybe having to go deeper into the shadow work is going to unveil some more gifts, some amazing nuggets that will just reveal itself. So shadow work and accessing the sacral chakra, however way that you're being guided to access, that will lead you to that next level.
I love that you brought up shadow. I cannot talk today. My good Lord. Okay. I'm so glad that you brought up shadow work, because there is, I call it toxic positivity.
Ooh, yes. That's a great way of saying it.
Yeah, right? There is a thing, I just call it a thing out there where, do these affirmations, just think positive and use the law of attraction and everything will work out. And the law of attraction works, but where people don't get the results that they want is because there isn't a willingness to go in and look at the shadow work, right? To go in and look at the deeper root cause of whatever the problem is. I feel like if you don't do that, then you're basically like putting a happy face sticker, Totally.
That's totally like, what we also call spiritual bypass.
Yeah.
Like that's totally the definition. I like how you call it toxic positivity though.
Oh, it is. I get sick of seeing out there, like, and I get it, because my business is all online. So I see it all the time. Those kind of posts can drive higher engagement, so to speak. But I just feel like there aren't enough people out there who go deep enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that will entail shadow work. So it's like bridging that back to leadership. If you feel like you're not getting any clients, or you feel like you've kind of reached a plateau and you're like, this feels weird. It's because you're ready to take things to the next level, but that next level will require you to root deeper, and you can see it. I feel like that, what you call it toxic positivity or spiritual bypass is even more obvious now, like more than ever. And that is falling into subconscious leadership versus conscious leadership.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And there are some well-known names in the personal development industry. Of course, none that we'll mention here.
But, we won't name them.
For liability reasons.
Yeah.
But yes, it's so rampant in the online space. And so, I believe the future of leadership is us being in integrity.
Yeah.
As much as we can be, right? Because we're not perfect, but we're human, and that's part of the experience of being here. But the difference is being able to have the awareness to step into an observer role for yourself and go, okay, I see this. And then have a willingness to, look at where you can grow from it.
Yeah, 100%.
One of my favorite topics.
Yes, I love it.
Baljit, if someone, we're going to include the links in the show notes, but for purposes of those listening, if someone wants to reach out to you, where is the best place for them to go?
There is a contact page on my lotusdestiny.com. So you can visit my website, lotusdestiny.com. And if you have any questions with the offerings, you can message me there, or also at Baljit at lotusdestiny.com. And I also do intentional DJ sets, which you can find on lotusdestiny.com as well, to support you when you're working. And it just helps to raise the vibration and send some good vibes, and also helps with that creation energy as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I just adore you.
Welcome. Thank you. I adore you too. Thank you so much for having me here. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Awaken on Purpose podcast. Please visit me and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or at awakenonpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can live your purpose and make an impact as a conscious leader, visit me at jenniferspoor.com, and while you're there, be sure to join my email list for exclusive offers and a weekly dose of inspiration.